Hello, hello. This is Patty Joe. How are you doing this morning? I am going to try to get a couple of these done because today and tomorrow, because tomorrow night I have to work. I have already learned that I am no longer suited for night shift, so I'm going to try to avoid them starting in March. But I did upload a clip of me doing the testing of when I test the sound. And I uploaded it because I was such a goof. And it just reminded me of why I do this. Because I was such a goof that I am still laughing at myself. So just to go to prove that I do try to get the sound right, I do try to make it even, but you know, I'm only doing this as a hobby. I'm not really, I don't make money and I don't make a lot of money, so I just do this as a hobby. All right, let's continue on with where we are. Anybody who wants to donate to WAUKESHA, I'm sure there's still PTSD and medical bills and things like that for some of these folks. There is a link you can copy and paste. Oh my God, stop, phone. Nobody thinks I'm that important, please. All right, so I'm pretty sure I did not forward this, just to go to prove that I'm trying to get as much of the trial in as I can. This must be lunchtime, so let's. In there. Here. I know there's a way you can pull it up. It'd be a lot more accurate, but this is me you're dealing with. And I just. There we go. Come on, come on. I swear, the person who spliced this together must have it skip just a touch. There we go.
The record should reflect that when we last broke, the court had received information regarding nearby tornado warnings. Ultimately, there were a number of warnings that were issued, some of which affected the immediate area. Our alert system ultimately went off with the lights and the audible voice telling everyone to take shelter. And it has been lifted, and it was lifted just a short time ago, and I had the parties brought back into the courtroom. I know when we broke unexpectedly, it was during the cross-examination for, I believe, Mr. Knapp, and my thoughts are as follows, is to have Mr. Knapp come back in, I presume he's available, and finish his cross-examination. And then frankly, given the severity of the weather that went through, including near my house, and I need to check on my house, is to break for the day. So I know there's jurors who live in the area, potentially, where some of these things happened. I don't want to question everyone about whether they have power or whether they don't have power. I just think given the gravity of this case and the weather system that went through, I want to make sure people are giving their full attention, and I would like to then break for the day and then resume tomorrow morning. So that's my plan, as is my practice, though I will give the parties an opportunity to indicate whether they think differently, but that's what I'd like to do. From the state?
Okay.
I understand, and I certainly.
So this is going to be hilarious because Darrell Brooks is not going to see this as here is a major weather event and we have to make sure that everyone is safe and people may have their homes in danger or family members who are in the areas affected are in danger, and we want to check, but we still need to keep this going. The courthouse is in session, so my idea is to finish what we're doing and then end the day or whatever it is she said, and move on, which I believe is what she said. I was kind of distracted with my friend in Wisconsin who doesn't have a subscription, by the way. He doesn't subscribe to my channel. Anywho, I think Julie actually watches more than Jay, and Jay's the one who I've known since I was in high school. So go with that one for a while. Anyhow, the state is going to either agree or have another suggestion that's reasonable to this. But Brooks, I believe he's going to try to get on this and delay as long as possible, or maybe even get it dismissed. Let's see.
We respect the court's concern for the jurors and their property and their families.
It's not just the jurors. Let me just say, obviously there's a lot of folks that are here attending. Just what I was following in terms of the weather, it's pretty widespread. There were things that happened more south of here. There were things that happened north and west of here. There's people from all over, and I just think it would be wise to let everyone break for the day and then check on their things and make sure that there are things that they don't need to attend to as the case may be. So go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sure, no, and I understand that, Judge. I don't have an argument with that. I just, we obviously have a full slate of witnesses here to go this afternoon. Some have traveled from like the Cudahy area or, some distance, not unavoidable, but my only other suggestion would be to maybe take an extended break and let people make calls or even go home and check and come back at 3:00 or something. If that's a possibility, we could still work for a couple hours yet this afternoon. But whatever the court thinks is best, we certainly will be prepared either way.
Thank you.
I certainly would be open to maybe an extended break so that I and others could do exactly what you just say. But I'll hear from you, sir, if you have any position on that.
Yeah, I do have a position on that.
Here we go. Buckle up.
I agree with your first assessment, Your Honor. Mainly because, too, with severity and weather, that can sometimes mess with
Now, even if the weather affected where he is staying in jail, the state has already got probably a plan in place to keep, because it's up to them to keep the inmates safe, to keep the people who are being incarcerated safe. So he's got no problems.
equipment being
Equipment.
trial being televised. That can.
He's worried about the television equipment. Y'all, he's worried about us. He's worried that we are not going to be able to see his clownery and his dumb effery here. Okay, my God.
Possibly interrupt that.
I didn't remember it was the
And
slum.
you never know. Some people that may be key to this matter may not be able to come back after an extended break. There's no way to tell at this point.
They would have to.
I do believe it would, on the air,
Key to the matter.
just for cautionary reasons,
Maybe I
would be
keep cool
wise to
down.
kind of break for the day and then reset
Oh, see.
tomorrow morning or whenever the court feel it's best.
Feel its best.
I may need to do some checking of my own with some close relatives of my own.
Are these the relatives that you pay absolutely no attention to while you're stomping around Wisconsin like a garbage troll, goblin? I don't know. I mean, just like committing all of your crimes and not doing anything the court says. You know what? I'm not going to talk too long because somebody told me yesterday I talk too much. You know what makes me angry about that is people who do commit crimes, who then try to straighten up their lives. It's difficult. It's difficult for them to get jobs. It's difficult. They've got to explain it. They've got to always live with this mistake they've made. These aren't things he has seen as mistakes. My son made a mistake when he was young, and he paid for it, and he was in jail for it. And now he has difficulty getting a job, and he has difficulty. He can't pay his mortgage right now, which I was shocked when he got into a house. So, I've helped all I can. I'm out of money now, and I don't even know what to say to him. So, and what to do. He's got a good plan, but his plan is based on having a little bit of capital underneath him to try to stay put for the winter. And his kids, he's got 3 at the house and a 4th one that they take care of as well. So, just so hard. It's so hard. But this is not this guy's reality. He stomped all over Wisconsin, Nevada, Georgia, committing crimes and not paying any mind to fixing that or solving those problems or behaving any differently. He's just a goblin.
And so I would want to put that on record as well.
I might have to check on my family and where I don't live, where they let me live in front of the house in a
No
car
objection from anyone
that I ran
to
over
at least
people with.
finishing up with Mr. Knapp. It appeared to me we were close to being done, including whether he's fine with that as well. And he's shaking his head, yes.
State really quick for the record, Your Honor. I'm still, I guess I would say, waiting to obtain a filing
A fouling.
that I addressed before.
Nobody cares about what you're. Oh my God.
I don't know what that means, sir, but I need to bring
Read the room, Darrell. Read the room.
the jurors out. I need to finish with the cross-examination portion of Mr. Knapp's testimony, and then in all likelihood we'll just break for the day. I'll make so I understand wanting to maybe come back at a little bit later, but I think it's just best to break for the day. I will entertain though over the next 2 days whether we go a little bit extended to make up for the loss of the afternoon. I'm well aware we have the interpreter here as well, and so I'll have to have the clerk's office communicate with her when we're not on the record as to when she can come back and when we can get that witness back or here.
He's here and ready to go, Your Honor.
All right.
And Your Honor, just for the record, just real quick, there is a jury instruction as a preliminary instruction for use with interpreters. I wasn't sure if the court was aware of that.
I am aware of that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so let's review. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. Number one, the health and safety of everybody who was affected by whatever weather event was going on there, which I think was tornadoes. The jurors, other people are from a variety of areas around there that had a variety of levels of damage. And there was damage apparently. And I believe that she's taking into consideration the length of the day, when they would make that up, but also that there's an interpreter that they pay for, the court is paying for. There's a financial obligation that she's got to take into consideration. The witnesses that are there and available, they would have to come back. There's a lot of things to weigh between the two, but Darrell just wants, the break.
I'll have to get that ready. Probably needs a little bit of tweaking, so thank you. I'm aware of it. Give me the number though, so I don't have to search for it. 60. Okay, thank you.
That's the same thing. You just say 60, so.
All right, jury instruction 60, and I'll work on that.
Yeah, that makes her real happy that she helped you out though, Darrell.
All right, let's bring the jurors out, and then we'll, Mr. Knapp, you can take the witness stand and be there when they come back in.
subject matter.
Oh my God, he's not even. If you didn't hear it, he stood up and said, with that, look at how he changes his face. It's like he went from the engaged, oh, we needed the same number for the jury instruction, to this blank shark eye stare where, subject jurisdiction.
Mr. Brooks, my previous record on that issue
Stands.
Will not
Thank
cover
you,
reversing it.
Darrell.
Proper motion for reconsideration complies with the statutes.
I just wanted to state that for the record.
So noted.
And you don't have to repeat it 1,000 times. You said it once. It only needs to be said once. It only needs to be said once. It only needs to be said one time. One time. Now, while they're doing this and situating themselves, recall that Darrell was making a big deal out of how far away 20 feet was and how he was miscalculating 20 feet and how he couldn't have seen, and made that identification of our good goblin Darrell there driving the vehicle. In this angle and that angle and all this. Okay, you were far enough away and you were barreling down on his 3-year-old. Oh, disgusting.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
TV cameras might cut out.
When we unexpectedly broke prior to the lunch hour, Mr. Knapp was on the witness stand and he was being cross-examined. Sir, you may continue.
I'd like to apologize to the court. I'm not sure where I left off at.
Go ahead and just start back.
Okay, I'm trying to see if I took any notes that would get me back to where I was before the break.
Please, nobody help him. God, where was I? I remember. Your ignorant questions.
Do you recall making or being interviewed by law enforcement in the days following the incident?
I was.
Do you recall what date that was?
I believe it would have been the 23rd. My daughter was released from the hospital after a stay overnight, which would have been the 22nd, and I believe it was the 23rd. I could be mistaken on that.
Do you recall if that was just to make arrangements for the interview at that time?
The recollection I have was actually being questioned about the incident.
You don't recall making arrangements to be interviewed and then approximately 4 or 5 days after that actually being interviewed?
Again, I don't recall the exact date. In my mind, it was the day after we got home from the hospital. And yes, arrangements were made to meet with a detective.
Do you recall being interviewed on November 29th of 2021?
Again, I don't recall the exact date.
you made reference to Clinton Street being a cross street that was close by. Would that be fair to say?
That is correct.
Do you recall if Clinton Street had any barricades?
I do not recall.
Did you go down Clinton Street at that moment?
Yes, I did, as stated.
Did
As
you
stated, I like
recall
that.
any law enforcement being present at the Clinton Street? I'm sorry, the Clinton Street.
I'm sorry, the things that are important to Darrell, he thinks should be important to everyone. He thinks that it's a defense that barricades were up, except for he goes over barricades to get out. And as I've said several times, for people who may or may not have seen it before, I have had to move barricades by getting out of the medic and physically moving them. You could do it by one person. I've had to have people do it for me to get out of a secured area, like a field, a football field, NFL games, whatever it was that I brought the medic down into that area for. I have had to take the medic itself and drive, bump into them and scoot them. And that is possible with metal ones, with the plastic, fiberglass, whatever else ones, even ones that are filled partially with water and or sand. They can be moved.
Side crossing.
So not moving them and choosing to run over a 3-year-old, probably not going to wash with a defense. Probably not going to be a good one.
I guess.
Yes, there was a
Goblin.
law enforcement officer on the south side of the street, and as I mentioned before, he helped save a lot of lives by pushing our children back.
Appreciate the extra commentary.
Oh my God, how could he be so rude? I appreciate the extra commentary.
Do you recall describing the driver as an African American male with long hair
Yeah.
and facial hair?
I remember describing the driver of the vehicle that I made eye contact with as a black male with facial hair. I don't necessarily recall stating long hair.
Okay, so again, we're talking about likely the summary from the officer. This particular person refers to the racial difference as black rather than African American. I know there's some people, I'm not African American, I'm black, or I'm whatever. But he's qualifying it as black, a dark-skinned person as black. And he said facial hair. Darrell just described himself from the mugshot to the jury. Am I wrong?
I have the summary
Jesus.
right here of the interview that you.
So the officer could have taken the word black male and changed it to AA male. Actually, officers qualify that as numbers when they're using their code thingies. Now, I'm no expert because I'm not an officer, but I've worked alongside of them in the fire department for long enough to know that number 1 male would be what they termed African American male. And when they changed their names to be politically correct, that's how they do it, the AA, African American. Some may do it differently and call it black male. I don't know, but police officers actually use codes and whatever words are appropriate for their reports. Doesn't mean that's exactly what came out of the guy's mouth.
You gave with law enforcement
You get to
on
love those.
November the 29th of 2021.
Nailed myself.
And reading from that summary,
Your Honor, I'm going to object. Again,
Thank
for the same reason I
Grounds.
objected before. This is in a statement or a supplement by Detective Jeff Adent, A-D-E-N-T, from the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department, in which he met up with this witness. This witness provided information to the detective.
I understand. I don't need the full
Okay.
explanation. I'll just sustain the objection as to the form of the question. I know you didn't fully get it out, but I think I know where you were going, so please rephrase.
With the reference
Grounds.
to the statement that I referred to about the long hair, if I was able to show you, would it bring any recollection of what you may
No,
have said?
he said he
during that
didn't say
interview?
it.
No, if I stated it at that time, then that was my recollection at that time. 11 months later, my recollection of the statement is that I made eye contact.
I'm not referring to that statement. I'm referring to the statement that reads David, or yes, or wait, let me back up. Were there some confusion with your name in this report?
Not that I'm aware of.
Why would he
Looks
know?
like the
He didn't
officer
write-
that was taking the report
He didn't write the report. You moron.
got a little confused on the name.
No, the only one confused, Darrell, is you.
So that's not a question. He doesn't have the report in front of him. So please make sure you ask the question.
God, oh my
recall?
God.
Reading from the summary, describing the driver as an African American male with long hair.
Please say asked and answered.
As stated, as I sit today, I remember describing the driver as a black male with facial hair and very wide eyes. If I stated
Okay.
that at the time, that was my recollection at the time.
Do you notice he keeps changing African American that the police officer wrote in the report to black male? That sticks out to me.
As I sit here today, I cannot state that I recall having or seeing long hair.
Would it be fair to say that what I'm reading from is an accurate statements made by you to the law enforcement officer?
Objection. For the
Grounds.
same reason I mentioned.
There's a lack of foundation as to the question, so I'll sustain it, and if you are able to rephrase, please.
Can I show the
No.
witness his statements?
No. It's not his statements.
Maybe that may bring some recollection back of what was said in the interview.
How many of us understand now, even though we're not attorneys, that to recall statements, they have to be the witness's statements. In other words, the witness would have had to written it down and or read what was written down and signed that it was their statement. I don't see a signature. I see that this, and Attorney Basie has already objected a couple of times now that that's not the case here. As a paramedic, when somebody was giving me their background story, I didn't use every single one of their words. I would paraphrase it. If they told me a whole story about their leukemia last year, I would simply take out the pieces that they were treated for that and that these were some of the complications. You know, I didn't write down every single thing they said. I used my expertise to write a summary.
I'll allow it. If you would give the statement to the bailiff, who can then give it to the state. I don't know if you have it electronically or if we want to use the document camera.
Me.
All right. Is it connected to the?
It needs to be given to the witness. Again, I'm going to object. If he's using it to refresh recollection, that's fine, but this witness says it does not refresh his recollection. I'm objecting to any questions after.
I understand.
Okay.
All right.
I object to that because
Hold on, let's show, you've asked that it be shown to the witness, it will be shown to the witness. Is there a particular paragraph you want to direct his attention to, Mr. Brooks?
the paragraph that I referred to when he stated that the driver was an African American male with long hair.
All right, so, sir, just take a moment to review that. When you're done reviewing it, turn it over, and then Mr.
Oh,
Brooks will
so
ask
they
you some
are
follow-up
allowing him to
questions.
read it.
For the record, I don't
For the
consent to
record,
being
he
called
did
that
it.
name, Your Honor.
He just likes to muddy the whole thing up.
Third party to the matter, Your Honor.
I'm a third party to the matter, Your Honor.
Go ahead and ask a question to see if it helped refresh his recollection.
From reading that summary of the interview that you gave with law enforcement, do you recall stating that the driver was an African American male with long hair?
I recall stating what I stated before, that it was a black male with facial hair and white eyes. I don't recall stating long hair, but that
Would it be fair to say that the summary that is in front of you states that that's what you said?
It would be hearsay.
Browns. I'm stating directly what it says on the paperwork.
It's still hearsay.
It's
Mr.
hearsay.
Brooks. So the objection is sustained. Next question.
Is it fair to say that that's what the
It's hearsay. So,
is hearsay when it's right there for him to read?
Mr. Brooks, I direct your attention to the hearsay statute, all right, for a definition in 908.01 and the rule in
I'm gonna
908.02.
glaze over. He glazed over because he's never read those things, okay? But the fact of the matter is, he just wants. Does pointing out a detail that the guy doesn't remember make him a liar? I mean, is this a credibility thing? Does anybody know what he's getting at? What are you getting at? Goblin, what are you getting at?
So it's not a fair.
Sustained. Next question.
Thank you.
Do you recall if the driver had hair? Any hair whatsoever?
Hey, here.
I recall seeing facial hair.
Any hair on their head?
I don't recall at the moment as we sit today picturing exactly that if I saw hair or if I didn't.
Any reason why you wouldn't be able to see the driver's head?
My eyes were locked on a vehicle that was driving at a high rate of speed with the person driving the vehicle's eyes extremely wide. And then at that moment, my full attention went to my children where that vehicle was driving at a very high rate of speed.
So it would be fair to say that because you keep making reference to the eyes. So would it be fair to say then that because you were so fixated on the eyes that it would be hard to tell any other features of the driver?
I'm stating what I saw: wide eyes, black male, facial hair.
Would it?
How many of us think that in the back of this guy's very politically correct head, he wants to say, look, you weren't looking at people, you were looking through them as if you were enraged. You had these weird psycho eyes. Because Darrell is going to exhibit these weird psycho eyes coming up when he starts really escalating. I can't wait.
Would it, being so fixated on the eyes, would that in any way make it hard for you to see any other facial description?
Well, I don't know, Darrell.
I'm not
With you so asphyxiated on subject matter jurisdiction, does it make it hard for you to understand the word hearsay?
sure the definition, your definition of hard. I'm stating what I saw.
Do you recall if there was anything on the driver's head, a hat or anything of that nature?
Like the hood
I
of
don't
your
recall.
hoodie? Plus, you were coming straight at him. He might not be able to see it. Darrell, he might not be able to see your hood hanging on to where the island is seceding from the continent of your hair. Because that's right. And you remember that one picture from the side where the hood was way back here and the top of it's here? Almost like it's hanging on to whatever lock would have been stuck in there, right? And that little front weird island he's got that's moving forward. Oh my God.
You stated that it was a African American male. Do you recall a skin complexion?
He didn't.
I do.
He said black male.
Was it a dark skin complexion?
It was.
Okay, these folks in Wisconsin who are obviously a lot of the large percentage of them are white and very fair skinned. I probably would have fit in. Way too much Serbian and Sicilian in me. It, that's a matter of relative understanding. Because he doesn't consider himself dark complected, and I can totally understand that. But this guy may not have that same reality. Look at the black lady in the back laughing. Laughing!
Would it be fair to say that who you identified today does not have a dark
Oh my God.
complexion?
I think you're dark.
I guess it depends upon the definition of dark.
Whoa! Thank you. Very good answer. Good answer. I'm not sure if that makes him racist or not. I don't even care. But that is at least an honest answer from his perspective. What he sees and what he understands. Dude probably went to high school and there might have been, a very small percentage of black kids in his class. Or any.
What is your definition of dark? Because in all fairness, you said dark skin. So what would be your definition
I
of
would
dark skin?
say you, Darrell. You. Darker than mine.
Dark skin as present on my interaction with black males in the past.
Okay, he is trying so hard not to sound racist, and Darrell is just driving him right into that. If your experience, you're not being racist. You're just stating your own experience. Okay, quite honestly, when I went to high school, I think might have been 3 kids in my class. It wasn't until I moved out, went to college, and went to a place that did have a lot more of a percentage of all different races that I understood any kind of, variation at all. And I continue to learn that today with my beautiful granddaughter. Ugh.
So every black male that you've had an interaction with was dark skinned?
Again, it depends.
To
There's
him.
different complexions of dark, and it depends upon what complexion or what your definition of dark is.
I'm asking your definition because you said dark skin.
Yeah, I'm going to object to this line of questioning.
On
The
what
point has
grounds?
been made. This witness identified the defendant, Darrell Brooks, as a person driving the car. I think he's asked the question about dark skin. I think that this has been asked and answered.
Objection.
I'm going to sustain the objection as to the form of the question. I believe the way it's asked is argumentative. You may rephrase if you so choose.
May my objection be noted that I do not
No.
identify by that name, nor do I.
You can't object to an objection. You object to a question. I think I'm picking that up here. You don't just yell out objection when you don't like something. Like, he asked a question to one witness, and then they answer, and he says, objection. Like, you can't object to their answer. Like, you asked the question.
Know anybody by that name?
Oh, my
I don't
God.
consent to being called that name.
Noted.
Exhausting. Exhausting.
Have you ever had any other interactions with any black males that were not considered dark-skinned by your definition?
Skinned? He said it.
I don't understand your question.
Oh, my God.
Have
No,
you had
no.
any previous interactions with African Americans that were not dark-skinned? Grounds.
Overruled. It
She
relates to his
overruled it.
identification. He may answer.
As stated before, my interactions with black males before, there are different levels of complexion.
But they're all dark to him.
Color tones, darker versus lighter. And I have interacted with black males before that have been both lighter and darker skin tones, yes.
Would it be fair to say that you didn't give that clarification when...
Dude, first of all, he did identify you. Secondly, it's obvious that this guy's exposure to anyone with any color skin other than his own may be limited, or he may just not give a damn. Maybe he doesn't care enough to even make the distinction. Like, a lot of times I'll notice my friends, or I won't notice like the exact level of blackness.
Asked before.
Axe.
I don't understand your question.
Would it be fair to say that you did not give that clarification when asked the same question before?
What clarification are you referring to?
You strictly said the skin tone.
He's
you
arguing
came to the
again.
conclusion that it was dark skin based on your interactions with African American males before. Would it be fair to say that that's what you testified to?
That I can identify the skin tone color is what I stated, and the person that was driving the vehicle had a darker skin tone.
Darker skin tone. Darker than his.
May I have that paperback that he has? I might have a question from me too. That specific part of the...
Market to reflect the one page of the police report has been handed back to the defendant.
From your recollection of the interview with law enforcement, do you recall stating that you don't vividly recall any acceleration?
I do recall stating that.
And just for clarification for the record, you did not see the vehicle strike anyone once it was past your location?
No.
When it passed me, I saw the vehicle strike my daughter.
The location where you where you made reference to being
He can't bring himself to ask the question correctly, which is after I ran over and propelled your daughter up to 15 feet and her little tiny 3-year-old body smashed to the ground. You didn't see me hit anybody else, did you?
near that intersection corner, I think it was.
So
Once it was past that location is what I'm referring to.
right. So after the vehicle struck my daughter and then past that location, I ran to my daughter as stated, and I did not see, other than the vehicle swerve back towards Main Street, the vehicle strike another human being.
So you did not see it, just for clarification, because that was a lot of commentary. For
That is
clarification, for the record, you did not see it strike.
So, in other words, you didn't like the semantics and you want to offer your own narcissistic semantics. I'm going to start rephrasing Darrell's questions. I'm doing this wrong. I thought maybe rephrasing the witnesses' questions would make me feel better. But no, this one, in this case, I don't like your semantics, sir. Could you please use my narcissistic semantics and just say that I didn't hit anybody after I ran over your tiny little 3-year-old?
Like anyone else once it was past that location where you and your family were.
That is correct.
Coming
No
up
further
to the end.
questions.
Thank God.
Any redirect. All right, thank you. Sir, you may step down.
Okay, let's see what they're doing with the tornado thingy, and then we'll try to find the next
So ladies
set
and
of
gentlemen
dates.
of the jury, I have made a determination that today we are going to break early, just given all of the weather issues that happened earlier today. Frankly, including the need on my part to check on my house and other things. I just felt it best, just given all of that and the disruption, that we would break for the day. I do want you, as you go back home today, to look at your schedules for the next 2 days, because I may keep us here a little bit later to make up for some of the lost time, at least tomorrow. So just let the civilian jury bailiffs know tomorrow when you come in. I do want to read to you the instructions that I've been providing to you regarding not starting your deliberations and the extra research, etc. So, do not begin your deliberations and discussion.
Okay, I think we can skip the jury notes that they've said 100 times they're not supposed to go online, blah, 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 all these things. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. That was pretty painful, actually. Please like or dislike. A couple of people have been giving me some negative comments, if that's okay. Comment, share, subscribe, whatever it is you feel. And I hope everybody is having a very blessed day. Goodbye, this is Patty Jo.